Jonathan here, and welcome to Learn to Playthrough, and welcome back to the playthrough of Mansions of Madness, First Edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch. We're now going to be continuing on with Round 7, but first, let's go ahead and do a recap to see what happened last time. The battle with the maniac continued, and Harvey, after getting hit in the head with the axe, he cast a shriveling spell against the maniac, which caused some pretty good damage. Harvey then decided that he needed to put some distance between him and the maniac, went around to the other side of the dining room table, and luckily enough he made his evade test so that he didn't get hit by that axe again. Harvey made it off to the far wall on the left-hand side, and then the door got kicked in, and standing in the doorway was Jenny, holding her .45 automatics. She let loose with several bullets, which embedded themselves into the chest of the maniac, lifting it off the ground, flying across the room, and smashing into the wall, laying next to Harvey, lifeless. With the maniac dead, Harvey got up and took a photo out of that folder that he had, looked at it and said, "Yep, this is not Walter Lynch." So with that, Harvey and Jenny went ahead and left the dining room and into the foyer, following those blackened footprints. So as Harvey follows behind Jenny into the foyer, the keeper takes control over Harvey with the Uncontrollable Urges Keeper card. And here, he makes Harvey inject Jenny with the sedative. So now, let's go ahead and continue on with Round 7. So at the beginning of each round, the investigators are up first. So let's go ahead and begin with Jenny Barnes. So Jenny Barnes is still sitting on the stairs there as she's feeling a little bit woozy, and now really getting even more woozy as the sedative has really taken effect. And she's looking up at Harvey and, "Harvey, what did you do? Why could you have done this to me? What is going on? Harvey? Harvey? Hello?" She's waving at him, waving her arms around, and Harvey's just standing there in a daze, not really acknowledging her. And Jenny looks and realizes that Harvey doesn't seem to be himself. Something has happened. So Jenny is going to go ahead and begin her turn with her movement step. Well, Jenny is still sitting there on the stairs, and she tries to stand up, but she sits back down again, and she cannot stand up to save her life. So what's going to happen here is that she's going to have to bypass her 2 movement steps, because the sedative card at the bottom says he may not move during his next turn. And this is the next turn from the time that she was injected with the sedative. So she's going to have to go ahead and bypass her movement step. Now we'll go ahead and move on to Jenny's action step. So for Jenny and her action step, seems like she might be a little bit limited because she's kind of knocked out of commission because of the sedative. Remember for the action step that she could run, use a card ability, drop an item, attack a monster, or explore. Well, she doesn't really want to drink her whiskey at the moment, so she's not going to use a card ability. She's not going to drop any of her items. There's no monsters there, and she's already explored the foyer by finding that whiskey. So the only other option that Jenny would have would be to do is the run action. But for the run action, it says to move to an adjacent space, and with the sedative card, it says he may not move during his next turn. So because the run action is a move action, the sedative is stopping Jenny from moving during the run action. Now for some reason it said on the sedative card he may not use his move actions during his next turn. Then during the action step, Jenny could use the run action to go ahead and move 1 space. So with that, that's going to go ahead and end Jenny's turn. So next up is Harvey Walters. So Harvey Walters, he finally comes out of his hazy state that he was in to see Jenny sitting on the stairs there, kind of wobbling back and forth, all dazed out. And he moves on over to her, and Jenny, are you okay? Are you all right? What's going on? And she looks at him, it's like, you have no idea? You just injected me with that sedative. And Harvey looks down at the floor and sees the sedative syringe on the floor, empty. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no recollection of what I did. So with that, Harvey's just going to end up staying with Jenny the whole time, which is going to bypass his 2 movement steps and his action step. And so that's going to go ahead and end Harvey's turn. So next up is the keeper turn. So the keeper is observing everything that is going on here as he's sitting back and he's tapping his fingers together and he's just laughing it up. As my plans are coming together, I am prolonging their efforts to try and get their objectives done. So with that, what's going on is that the keeper's plan seems to be working pretty good, as on the objective card for the keeper it says, the keeper wins if the final event card is revealed. So what the keeper wants to do is he wants to slow down and hinder the progress or the movements or anything of the investigators. So by using the Uncontrollable Urges Keeper card here on Harvey and injecting Jenny with the syringe, that just knocked out the investigators' full round of round 7. So let's go ahead and continue on with the keeper turn. Step 1, investigator trading step. Well, the investigators are in the same space, so they are able to trade stuff if they'd like. And as we go ahead and look around here at the items, looks like Harvey doesn't have anything, unless he wants to give up his nyctophobia, which really isn't a item anyway. So Jenny's got her automatics, the whiskey and the silver key, so she's going to go ahead and just keep all those. So there's going to be no trading. So now we move on to step 2, gain threat step. So once again, the keeper is going to gain 1 of the threat tokens per investigator. So we got a total of 2 investigators. We get 2 threat tokens. Go ahead and add that to the collection. So now the keeper's up to 4 threat tokens. And now we move on to step 3, keeper action step. All right. So we got the zombie up there burning away, so we're going to go ahead and just leave the zombie up there. So we're not going to go and command the zombie to move with the command minion card. Evil presence. You know what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spend 1 threat token for evil presence. And with that, we'll be able to draw 1 mythos and 1 trauma card, so we can fill up the 4th spot in each one. So we get a mythos card, get a trauma card, and for a mythos card we have, for 1 threat token, ancient knowledge. Requirement, study, library, laboratory, or chapel. An unseen force beckons you to pick up a book of ancient wisdom. On its pages are no words, only a blackness that makes you realize the insignificance of your existence. Take 1 horror. Okay. Then for our trauma card is looks like we have our insanity, because we got the blue brain. Panic. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. I need to get out of here right now. Take a deep breath. Breathe. Then screams, I need to get out! The keeper may immediately move you up to 3 spaces. Then discard this card. Wow. Okay, that's a good one. Alright. Well, that was a good threat token spent. Step 4, monster attack step. Well, our investigators are down in the foyer, and the only monster that is out here on the board is the zombie, which is up there burning away in hallway number 2. So we can go ahead and skip step 4, and we'll move on to step 5, event step. So we go ahead and we place one of the time tokens on the event cards, and that's going to make a total of 4 time tokens. And as you can see here, for card number 2, it takes 4 time tokens to activate this. So we'll go ahead and activate our second card to see what happens. Clock strikes 11, the fall of House Lynch. If clue 2 has not been found, each investigator takes 1 horror, otherwise resolve one of the following. Okay, well, Jenny only found clue number 3. That means that clue number 2 is still out there somewhere that needs to be found. So because of that, each investigator is going to take 1 horror. So here is 1 horror for Harvey, and that's going to make number 5. So he's down to a sanity of 9. And then this is going to be Jenny's first horror. So Jenny was at a 10, so now Jenny is down to a 9 sanity. So because clue 2 has not been found, they received those horrors. And then because of that, we do not read one of the following. So then our next event card, number 3, says that it's going to need a total of 3 time tokens on it to activate that. So with that, that's going to end the keeper turn. So let's go ahead and begin round 8. So we're going to go ahead and begin round 8 with the investigator turn, Jenny Barnes. Well, Jenny is feeling a little bit better, not as much woozy as before, so it seems that the sedative is starting to fully wear off. So Jenny looks at Harvey and says, okay, I'm good. I think I can handle it now. So let me go ahead and keep going up here and follow these blackened footprints as they lead up the stairway here. So Jenny goes ahead and stands up, and we'll go ahead and do the movement step. So Jenny's going to go ahead and take her first movement. She does movement number 1. She walks up the stairs to the top landing there. And that's going to end her first movement. And then because of that, what's going to happen is the keeper is going to take advantage, and the keeper is going to go ahead and play the Mythos card, Loose Floorboard. For 0 threat tokens, the requirement: in bedroom, hallway, foyer, or attic. You run frantically down the hall away from some unseen evil, only to lose your footing. Test dexterity. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out what Jenny's dexterity is. And her dexterity is a 6. So we need to roll a 6 or less. Oh! So Jenny rolls a 10, which automatically fails this. So let's go ahead and check out to see what happens because of the failing of this. So for the loose floorboard, it says, fail, you are stunned. So we'll go ahead and get a stunned token for Jenny. And this is the token that's got a skull on it. So we're going to put that right here on Jenny's character card. So in the rules of play part of the rulebook on page 15 is the section status effects. Now in this section, status effects, there's actually 3 different effects that can happen during Mansions of Madness first edition. And the one that we're dealing with now is stun. So what it says for the stun effect is for the investigators, A stunned investigator only receives one movement step during his turn. And then also, the investigator is going to receive -2 to every attribute test. Now the effect of the stun token does not stack. So if Jenny for some reason received another stun token, she would not get another -2 for a total of -4 against her attribute test. So she could have like 10 stun tokens on there, but she would only receive a -2 to an attribute test. Okay, so with that, Jenny is stuck at the top of the stairs. We'll go ahead and discard the Mythos card, loose floorboard. So that was one movement for Jenny to get up to the top. And then she stepped on a loose floorboard, which knocks out her second move. So the second movement step has been negated. So this now leaves Jenny with just her action step. Now they wanted to get into the room, hallway number 4 here. And now because Jenny ended up stepping on a loose floorboard, that stopped her movement step to get her in there. Now normally during an action step, you can go ahead and do the run action, which will let you do an additional move. So now remember what I had said earlier regarding what it says on these cards and in the rule book is that the stun effect affects her movement step. So Jenny took one movement step to get to the top of the stairs. She got stunned, so her second movement step, she was not able to go from the top of the stairs over here into hallway number 4 because of that stun marker. But for her action step, she's going to go ahead and do the run action, which lets her take an additional move. So it's not a movement step that lets her do the move, but it's actually the run action that lets her do a move. So with that, Jenny's going to go ahead and use her run action from her action step to go ahead and do one move, and she's going to go ahead and move over here into hallway number 4. So when Jenny gets in there, she turns and sees this humanoid at the end of the other hallway on fire, and she lets out a half scream with a, "Oh my God, what is that?" And with that, that's going to end Jenny's turn. So next up is Harvey Walters. So Harvey hears her half scream there, and he replies with a, "Jenny, don't worry, here I come." So let's go ahead and do Harvey's movement step. So Harvey's going to go ahead and do his 2 movements. He'll do one up the stairs, avoiding the loose floorboard, and then take his second step into hallway number 4. And at that point, he sees this burning creature at the other end of the hallway. And now we'll move on to Harvey's action step. Now remember, when they were in battle with the maniac down here, remember they had to do a horror test? So it says that every time an investigator goes into the same room as a monster, or a monster goes into the same room as an investigator, you have to do a horror test. Well, these are 2 different tiles, hallway number 4, hallway number 2. So basically these are 2 different rooms. So with that, the investigators do not have to do a horror test at the moment. So with Harvey's action, he sees that creature over there and he says, I think it's close enough. I can take it down. I'll just cast a spell on it. So Harvey's going to go ahead and attack the zombie, and he's going to go ahead and use a shriveling spell. So as an action, choose a monster within 2 range, test lore -1. Okay, so Harvey's over here, space 1, space 2. So the monster's within a range of 2. So Harvey's got to go ahead and do a lore -1. So Harvey's lore is a 7, so -1 is a 6. So Harvey has to roll a 6 or less. Uh-oh, 9. Okay, so Harvey rolled a 9 on his spell. So let's go ahead and see what happens. And it says, then flip this card over and resolve the effect. So let's see here. Fail. Blood streams from your eyes and your vision grows blurry. Take 1 damage. Discard this card. Do not draw a replacement. Oh, well, that's double damage there. Alright, so Harvey's going to take 1 damage. And the token's at a 4. So we go ahead and get one that says 5. So Harvey's now on 5 damage out of 6. So 1 more damage. Harvey's going to die. Oh no. Alright, now it says that you're going to discard this card and do not draw a replacement. Okay, so that means that Harvey's spell cards are gone. So Harvey can no longer cast any spells. So we're going to go ahead and discard this card, and then we're going to remove all of the spells of Harvey's shriveling spells. Now, for some reason, something happens later on that says Harvey regains all of his starting spells, or Harvey learns this spell or that spell. Then we can put another set of spells in that spot. But at the moment, Harvey has no spells. He has no weapons. What's going to attack with? His cane? Alright, with that, that's going to end Harvey's turn. So now let's go ahead and move on to Keeper turn. So with the Keeper's turn, Keeper looks and says, they found the zombie. They seem to be getting closer. I must stop them. So step 1, investigator trading step. Well, the investigators are in the same space. Harvey has nothing. Jenny is over there with her 45 automatics and a silver key, and that's really all that Harvey knows she has, as Jenny hasn't said anything about that whiskey yet. So they're not going to do any trading at the moment. And then what happens is, during the Keeper's step 1, investigator trading step, this is when that if an investigator has a stun token on them, they can go ahead and remove just 1. So if Jenny had 5 stun tokens on her, then during this step she could only remove 1 stun token, and then she would end up having 4 stun tokens still on her character card. So next, let's go ahead and go to step 2, gain threat step. So the Keeper is going to go ahead and gain 2 more threat tokens. So he's really starting to pile up now. He's up to a total of 5 threat tokens at the moment. And then now let's go ahead and go over to step 3, Keeper action step. So let's see, we got ourselves 5 threat tokens, and we're kind of piling up. So now we need to see what we're going to do here, and we have command minion, evil presence, so we got a space left here. We'll go ahead and skip that one. Take sample. The monster ain't over there yet, so we'll skip that. We'll go ahead and skip the uncontrollable urges, and the maniac attack, even though we have 5, the maniac can't come into play because the investigators are in the same space. So we're going to go ahead and spend 1 threat token to command our minion, the zombie over there. And it says, the monster notices your presence and charges in your direction. Action, move a monster up to 2 spaces. You may only use this card once per monster each game round. Alright. So we'll go ahead and spend that 1 threat token. So we're going to go ahead and move the zombie 2 spaces. So it comes up here and goes 1, 2. So now we move on to step 4, monster attack step. So now the monster moved into the same space as the investigators, or more or less the monster moved into the same room as the investigators. And because of that, because the monster moved into the same room as the investigators now have to do a horror test. So the investigators are going to have to roll against their willpower so that they are not scared of the monster. And remember, it's also affected by the monster's horror rating. So if we go ahead and look at the monster, the zombie has a horror rating of -1. Okay, so whatever their willpower is, -1 is what the investigators have got to roll against. Alright, so let's go ahead and put the zombie with its fire token back on and get it back in that room. We'll go ahead and do those horror tests for the investigators. So Harvey's willpower is a 6, -1 from the monster's horror rating. So that means Harvey has got to roll a 5 or less. 7, not good, Harvey. So Harvey is going to take 1 horror. Means that he's up to 6 now. So he's got 8 sanity left. Jenny has a willpower of 7. Remember, she had a 6, but now we put it up to a 7 because she has that whiskey. And then -1. So she's got to do a horror test of 6 or less. 7. Oh. 7 and 7. Okay. Alright, so she fails it. So she's going to go ahead and take 1 horror. So now she has 2. So she has 8 sanity remaining. I don't know, at this time, it might look like she might be drinking some whiskey, because if she goes ahead and drinks the whiskey, we're going to discard the card and heal up 2 horror. So she could get rid of those 2 horrors if she wants. Okay, well, it's ready for our zombie to attack as it just moved into here. So now we have to find out what kind of a monster the zombie is. So we go ahead and look at its base. And up here, the zombie has a blue area. So remember on the combat cards that a blue card is the humanoid type. So the blue cards are the combat cards. And we'll go ahead and we'll flip 1 to see what the zombie does. Now remember, the top is for the investigators and the bottom is for the monsters. And the monster, the zombie, is going to attack Jenny. So it says monster attack. The savage enemy lunges at your face. Test dexterity. Nice, okay. So we look at Jenny's dexterity, and it is a 6. Alright, so we have to roll a 6 or less. 4. Alright, so because she rolled a 4, that means she passes. So let's go ahead and look at the card, and it says, monster attack pass. You dive to the floor, barely avoiding its attack. No effect. Alright, so we'll go ahead and discard that card. And with that, that's going to end step 4, monster attack step. Let's go ahead and move on to step 5, event step. So we're just going to go ahead and take one of the time tokens, and we'll put them right here on the event cards. And with that, that's going to end the keeper turn. So this is going to end our 8th round and our video. So come on and join us next time as we learn to play through Mansions of Madness, 1st edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch.